That Anora, what a lady would have known, am I right?
The movie you're making me watch today is Anora, directed by Sean Baker. Still in theaters, but barely. It's been out for a while.
I bet it'll come back. I bet this is gonna get some Oscar buzz. Not that you give a shit, but I bet this is gonna get some Oscar noms, and then they'll come back and they'll be like re-release of Anora, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, I still gotta go see that!" And yeah, it's so good.
They're gonna re-release it.
They do that for those movies in the Oscar time when they're nominated for Oscars and shit. It might. I'm just saying, maybe for the people.
You just say it maybe for the people, dude.
It's a film for the people.
What
It's a film about people.
What people?
The lesser people, the bums, the poors.
The poors?
Kind of the poor. I mean, this is just about poors.
I think the best part about this movie was her accent.
She was great.
I thought she was pretty good.
She
killed
it.
My cousin.
And then seeing her like do interviews after is like
traction.
Weird because she's like so sweet and so like soft spoken. It's like that girl fucking killed it. She's great.
Yeah. Acting good.
Good acting.
Having seen it twice now, I must say that the first time is much more impactful. I will say that.
I've seen it thrice, and I think every time is great.
Really?
It's
interesting because I saw it
by Jake. I've seen it thrice.
Thrice, dog.
I have a lot to say about the second go around. To be honest with you, I have a lot to say.
Well, you didn't like it.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm saying that
let's get into it.
The first time was a little bit more impactful for me. I think I was looking for something the first time that it delivered, but I don't think it really delivered the second time. But we can talk about it more. Let's go into this. Let's start like we usually do.
Rock the haikus. You guys got some haikus?
Yeah, I got a coup.
Some haikus?
I was trying to gloss over it because I forgot to do a coup.
I
was hoping you guys would just forget. But go ahead.
The coups.
I got a good coup,
I'm the
so
coup
we're definitely getting
master.
coups.
I just forgot.
All right, go
about it.
get on with the coup, Jake.
You coup first.
All right. Rooted in realism. Safety bros vibes all around. Was it enough to care?
All right, I actually do have one.
Okay. You want to do it?
Should we just go ahead and go around the room and answer Schwartz's last question?
Well, go with your haiku.
All right. I forgot I did write one. Chaos in control. Anora's a hoe for show. Too much over talk.
What is over talk?
People talking over each other. It just made the haiku complete, and it kind of made sense because everyone was just talking over each other.
The irony of Schwartz. The irony of Schwartz asking what over talk is.
I worded it weird for the coup. Those are my only notes, though. I got no notes. I got nothing to say about this movie, really. But I hope I did too. Go ahead, Jake. Hit me with the coup.
All right. I'll get the last coup here. All right, here's the coup. 1, 2, 3, go.
Coup.
Whimsical stripper. She fell in love with a big tipper, but no glass slipper.
Hey,
that's a good one.
What up? We'll work to that one for fucking hours, bro.
And now
2 days to
his
write that
outfit
fucking
makes
haiku.
sense. He's an artist.
You got it.
Struggling artist.
Artist. You like Kanye.
I'm a garage dweller.
Oh man. All right.
So Jake loved it. I hated it. Schwartz is somewhere in the middle.
I don't think you hated it. We're gonna get to the end of this podcast,
okay.
and then you're gonna be like, "You're right. This is great.
That's
good."
possible.
Before we talk about this movie, let's talk about Sean Baker and what he does. So Sean Baker shot a movie on an iPhone that brought him to prominence. It was called Tangerine. Shot the whole fucking movie on an iPhone.
That was his fourth film, by the way.
Yes, sure.
It's not like the first thing he ever did.
But that's the movie that made him someone who people knew who he was. Like certain people knew who he was before that, but that's what made people be like, okay, this guy's doing something. We see him. This is like 2015, so it was like pretty revolutionary back then to do that. And he shot an entire film on an iPhone, and it got him notice. Like, was the movie a movie? Yes, but like, it's the same kind of thing that people talk about with like someone like fucking the old John. Wow, that's totally the director from the 70s who did everything like very like this. John
Cassavetes.
John Cassavetes. You know what I mean? A lot of people have problems with Cassavetes because it's almost like, is it a movie or is it just like
I see what you're going. It's very character driven. There's a lot of talking. There's just a lot of stuff going on. It's more characters than a movie. Like the story isn't exactly
there's not much
like
plot.
A traditional story. I agree with you that there's not a big story arc.
Yes.
For a lot of his, I think Anora is his like biggest, most cinematic, biggest like accomplishment he's done. But his other movies he's done, even especially since Tangerine, is what you're talking about. That is the iPhone movie he shot.
Yeah.
Since Tangerine, there's been 3 more since then. And since Tangerine, I think the last 3 of his movies are fucking masterpieces.
They're great
Yeah,
movies, but they're
fantastic.
what I'm saying is that they're like they're like they're not movie they're not why I love going to the movies. I like going to the movies for genre. I like going to the movies for really, really cool characters with subplots. I like going to the movies for to be like thrilled or shocked or grossed out or
Okay, you're not
pissed
gonna get
off. You
that.
know what I mean?
So,
That's
like,
what I really like about going to movies. And I almost feel like this is the opposite of that. This is almost somewhere like in between a documentary and a movie. It's like so rooted in realism that it's almost like what's the point? You know
it's
what I
kind of
mean?
like
It's
a
like
really boring Coen Brothers movie. If
well,
like
it's
Coen
reminding me
Brothers
of a
didn't write, like, if it wasn't compelling the way they made their movies, it would just be that, and it would be boring as fuck.
it reminds me of an unthrilling Safdie Brothers movie. Because why the Safdie
Yeah.
Brothers movies are
yeah.
this is shot. This movie looks like a Safdie Brothers movie
They're
without the
very
tension.
similar.
You know what I mean?
Sean Baker and the
With
Safdies
zero
are very
tension.
similar with like their characters and their style. They're both very similar directors. And I
They're
think
rooted in
Safdies
realism.
can
Sure.
do the Safdies can do that, like the suspense and the thrill and the tension. I think a little bit more. I don't. He's faster. I think Baker likes to just sit with his characters too. Like the Safdies don't have a scene that's just one shot that's just gonna sit with them and kind of float around them. Safdies are a lot of movement, a lot of cutting, but Baker can slow shit down, let you just sit with characters. I enjoy the way he does that too.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's the wrong way. I'm just not sure
Not your style.
if it's what I go to the movies for. And you know what's funny is
Fair.
I was first time we saw this, I fucking loved it. I loved it because I thought the trailer looked amazing. I like movies about people that get to experience things that they usually don't get to experience in like whimsical ways, as you put it. Like she was thrust into this amazing week of her life, and that was fun to watch. And I thought the trailer was amazing, and I really did enjoy it the first time, and I did enjoy it the second time too. It's just that I was bored the second time. The first time I was never bored, and I was can't wait to what was coming up next, and I wanted to see what was going to happen. I really enjoyed the dynamic of the people who worked for his father and him, and how like they were just like these regular dudes who knew powerful people and had to also do what they say, just like their son did in so many ways. But I fucking hated the kid, and I didn't hate him the first time around. I thought he was kind of funny, but I kind of despised him this time around.
Because
He was a
you know
bad
where
man.
he's gonna who he's gonna be. I think.
Yes, sure,
I don't
sure.
think he has that effect. I think there's a lot of things
It's
where you don't know where it's going the first time around, so you're
exactly,
a little bit more
exactly,
invested.
exactly. And also, I don't necessarily think he's a bad dude because he's just a product of his environment and he's doing something that he's used to doing. I just don't think he was interesting enough to be a character, to be honest. I don't think he had any depth. I think Anora was a great character, and I loved the last scene. I thought the last scene was amazing, and I thought I love how when we went into this, Jake, you were like, man, I wonder if this movie's gonna be like, I wonder if we're gonna see her naked. And I know that sounds so like trivial, but like this movie is about sex work, and I knew from the moment, like I said, I was like, nah, dude, he's going for broke because that's what he does. Like tries to paint it real as fuck, and there's no way
Right,
he's
yeah.
gonna make a movie about that without nudity. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
just
this
would
ain't
make
pretty.
zero
This ain't
sense.
Pretty Woman. Like
Yes,
Julia
exactly.
Roberts didn't get naked in Pretty Woman.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Similar plot,
Yeah,
but
that makes zero sense.
yeah,
It's like
I
making
see what
a
you're saying.
war movie without violence or a
I
comedy
think
without laughs.
I think I had that thought because she kind of came up as almost as a little bit of a
Without
child actor,
laughs.
and because she was like in a sitcom, not a sitcom, but a TV show. Where she was
What
like a
show was that?
teenager. Better Things.
Never
it was
heard of
like
it.
called. It was created by Louis C.K. Like right after he did Louis. It
Oh,
like
was
him
it with
and that
the
the
brunette lady?
Pam something.
That
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
that's a good show.
Yeah,
That's
so
a good show.
she was
yeah.
the daughter on that show, and then she
Mm.
was like in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Scream.
Yeah, she
so
was
did
this
some
screaming
more
girl in the
adult work.
pool at once upon a
So
time in Hollywood.
I kind of knew her as like this like teenage actress. So I'm like, I wonder if she's gonna, this is her full adulthood movie, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was curious about that on the way.
She
We
was
were
the
talking
one
about
that
that on
got
the way to see it
torched?
the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the one that got torched in both
Yeah.
movies. She got burnt and went around running around crazy.
Yeah,
Both
yeah,
Scream and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she got
Damn.
torched.
yeah.
That's her.
I
that's
thought
her, I'll
she
be
was
back,
Michael.
dude.
I thought she was Michael Madsen's daughter because I thought her name was Mickey Madsen, and I was like, is that fucking Madsen's Michael Madsen's daughter? But it's not.
Mikey Madison.
Yeah, I thought that's who it was for. Well,
She's great though.
yeah,
Good
she
job.
was awesome. She's great. She's a great actor. I like what you said about how soft spoken she is in real life because she really does. She doesn't really seem like she she like talks above this, and she's very like polite. And this movie,
It
she
surprised
she
me
was
when I saw an interview with her. I was like, "That's not the way she
Oh,
talks."
whoa,
She like
yeah.
maybe she doesn't have an accent, but she was like, "Yes, well, I just like to act, and I get like
yeah. Well, she's
fire
super
every now
young
and then."
too.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
like, I think she's pretty much the age she plays. She's
yeah.
24, 25.
She's good. She was
But
really good.
let me. I want to say something about that. The character of the Ivan, because you were saying like you wanted more out of him. I think that was almost purposeful, because I mean Sean Baker. If you look at his movies, he's got a whole fucking filmography of scumbags and shitty people.
That's what I do
Kind of
enjoy.
what he does. I knew you'd like that, but I think what the thing is with this guy, he was kind of like made to be the base, like almost like the I don't know, the ghetto Prince Charming a little bit,
The
because that
butt
was
of the
like
joke in
but
real life.
a bit. But I think even for like he was meant to be one dimensional, because like that was the
But he is.
initial
Yeah.
basic love interest, because like that was almost the misdirect of the
Yeah.
film, was he was the
Yeah.
misdirect, when he's like kind of meant to be basic, and it's like that was the whole reveal. It's like this kid fucking sucks. Like
Yeah.
we think he's fun, we think
That
he's
was the
cool, but no,
Shyamalan reveal.
he fucking sucks. Like, I mean, that wasn't a Shyamalan twist necessarily. I think you're giving it a little bit more gravity, but
Getting back to what I was saying earlier, but Sean
yeah,
Baker makes movies about real people in real situations
for
that
sure.
don't have much levity. Like he's not gonna. It's all gonna be something that could happen, that would happen. That's like probably happened before to them in no ways. And it's funny, Jake, is I fought so hard not to do the other one and do this one, and now I feel like Red Rocket might be better than this one.
I kind of
I
agree.
think
I
Red
think there's more
Rocket's
depth there.
characters are more interesting. I really do, and I was like,
Jake, you
damn,
got to stick to your guns, dude.
I wish we would have
We'll
done Red
still do it.
Rocket.
It's okay. We'll still do
Yeah,
it.
What
I'm
do you
gonna
mean
do the
we'll
whole
still do it?
Sean
Can't
Baker
do that.
filmography.
It's
Yeah,
not
we
gonna
did.
be
We
our.
already
It's not gonna be our
rules
Christmas
broke.
special.
No, it's not next month. Later.
Christmas special. Sean Baker.
Red Rocket.
what I do like about this movie,
It's
though,
Sean Baker month, motherfucker.
what I still liked about it a lot was the way they shot it. Like it's very grandiose. I love the Safdie. I keep saying Safdie brothers. It's kind of unfair to say to this. I love this style that these filmmakers do it. Like I do like the look of it. I thought it's very fun. I like how it seems like you're there with them a lot of the times and you're experiencing things, and like the Igor Anora relationship was so hilarious and so sad at the same time, because like she was completely just treating him like he was the worst person ever, and he was the only person who actually like had her back at all through the entire fucking movie. Like even when he was just trying to calm her down and she was like beating the shit out of everybody, I was like, man, this guy's just really trying to help
He's
her.
a nice
And
guy.
he's the only
He's a
one trying to
fucking
help her.
goon, but he's a fucking
Gentleman.
really, he was
Yeah.
a nice guy. I loved
was
when
great.
I love when they let him loose and like he got the baseball bat. He's like, "What are you gonna do, tough guy?" And you start smashing
Yeah.
shit. It's like, all right, he's definitely a bad man.
Yeah, he's
But
he's
he's
the
a
kind
good
of guy who will kill you and then go home and eat dinner with his grandma and not think
Yeah.
twice about it. But it actually is only doing his job. You know what I mean? Like he like Jake said, he makes movies about kind of like lower life people. And for my letterbox review of his other movie, I said it really goes to show how where you're born dictates who you are, because like this guy was born in this life, just like in the movie Red Rocket, this dude was born into bumfuck Florida where everybody sucks and
It's Texas.
everyone's like listens to Limp Bizkit and does dumb shit, and he just happens to
Whoa.
have a big
What's
hit
wrong
and
with
get out of fucking Florida and become a porn star. You know what I mean? Like that's
Texas?
it's just where you're born
What are you
is
talking about?
really
What movie was that?
talking about Red Rocket, the other
No.
movie.
It's Texas.
That's what it's about. Oh, it's Texas. Sorry. Florida, Texas.
Florida
same
Project
thing.
was based in surprise, Florida.
Yeah,
But
which-
he's good.
which
He's
I
good
think
with
would-
jumping around like the country, kind of showing like he did.
Well,
He's done
is
shit in
he?
L.A. He's done shit in New York. He's good at like showing areas too.
And I think what I'm trying to say is I do respect Sean Baker as a filmmaker. I think he makes quality stuff, but I also think that the first time you watch this stuff is definitely the best go around, because you're not quite sure what to expect from these people. And I think when you do, it's kind of afterwards, it's kind of just like, okay, it's so basic. It's so just rooted in like you having the experience with these people and making it feel so real that there's nothing more to it than that. There's like I don't see
know.
anything. I mean, I just how I feel. I was bored yesterday in the theater. Like
Okay.
whereas the first time I did not get bored at all. I was laughing out loud. I was like everyone was laughing together. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just because I think I knew it was gonna happen. I just didn't. I just didn't care as much this time at all about it, like about any of it. Like I love the first 30 minutes. I think the way he sets up the strip club life is pretty great. It seemed very realistic. I've been to a lot of strip clubs in my life, and the experience was just like that. It's
Right.
pretty great experience as far as what it is to go to a strip club and the way that the girls act and the way like the behind the scenes, like when they're eating and she's back there arguing with the other girls. That shit's hilarious. Like that's really funny
Diamond
stuff.
was the best part. That she's drinking a yoo-hoo the whole time.
Yeah,
She just
Diamond
had a
was
yoo-hoo
good.
every time she was
Right.
screaming. And when
Yeah.
she like turns and when she's like, "Yo, whatever," her boyfriend's here, and she turns, she just goes, "Excuse," made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
She was fucking
I like
hilarious.
when she comes
the
up and
best
she's
part of
like,
the movie.
yo, did Robert come in and he asked you to dance the other day? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, and you danced for him? And she's like, yeah. And then you put two together, that's like her man. And like, I get or someone she likes, and this girl just gave him a lap dance, which is hilarious.
It
Always
was, yeah,
got a
that was a
yoo-hoo.
funny little, funny
Yeah,
little comic relief character.
that
Just
was
this
fun.
random stripper
Diamond.
rivalry that like doesn't really matter to the plot, but it was just in there
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't
so
think anything really
realistic as to
mattered
really
to this
probably what it's
plot.
like, you know?
for sure.
There
for
was
sure.
no plot. She just had to find her boyfriend, and nothing really happened in between. Eventually, they found him.
That's
You
life,
can't
man.
argue that. You can't
Life.
argue that.
I think that's what I like about this movie. And
How
I guess Sean
boring
Baker
it
in general.
is.
No, it's. I mean, arguably
I'm
because
sick of
it's just
being
I don't I know
entertained.
I'm not bored, but I'm more in appreciation of what's happening and the way like he can show like little nuances of the characters. But it's just it's I think he like you were saying he has a good way of portraying life, like how life actually is, how people actually are, how nothing really super crazy and interesting happens in life. Like things happen, but it's not like
Yeah,
these
that's why
life
we go
changing
see
events.
movies.
Or just get and it's like characters don't change all that much. People don't change all that much. Like people, might shift a little bit in perspective. I'm sure that happened in this film, but like not a lot of change happened. But
You're
that's
right.
fucking life, man. That's
You're right. You're
that's
not
what we
wrong
are.
about any of that.
There's not conclusive endings. It wasn't a conclusive ending to this movie because life doesn't have a fucking conclusive ending. It's just gonna go on.
What
Mine
was
does.
conclusive is that she got more money than she thought she was going to get because that ring that he saved her is probably about a $50,000 fucking ring. So she
Yeah.
gets another 50 grand on top of that, which is nice.
That's because Igor's the man, dude.
I read that it was closer. It was $180,000 if she was telling
know
the
what?
truth about it.
Then you know what? Then
She's balling.
there she's fucking gooch.
She's balling. Plus the
She's
25
gooch.
she got.
Yeah, she's gooch.
Fuck, just being a hoe.
Yeah, she's gooch.
Yeah,
She
she
made
did get
she
25
won.
that
She
week.
won in that whole thing because she doesn't deal with
won.
dickhead
She's a very
anymore.
sad
And she
woman,
got like
but she won.
200K. Yeah, of course she's sad.
She's
Her
sad.
life is sad.
She's a big
her
sad
life is
woman.
sad. She's only 23 years old. She's still, you know what I mean? An older person wouldn't have done any of that. She was
Having
having
that much money at 23 is pretty fucking sick. Like you feel
Yeah.
pretty fucking
The
rich.
thing
with that
is
much money,
you can't.
so.
I can't argue with what they did at 23. What at 23, if I had money, I'd be doing the same thing they were doing. Like the dude lived a life. Like I think that's the one thing that drew me to the movie is that like, well, you like, yo, if I was 21-year-old kid, rich, and could do whatever I wanted, like I'd love to experience that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what's kind of interesting about it. And like I like one of my growing up, I loved the movie Cruel Intentions just because of how it dealt with like the upper class and how like they could do whatever the fuck they wanted, even though it was done in like that movie was pretty comedic a lot of times, and it was very campy. I guess it was like the camp was drawn up, but I enjoyed that. This almost reminds me of like that type of movie without the camp and without like the or whatever. But I like movies like that show like the higher society of life. I think that's interesting to me. So that's what I think drew me to this one a little more. And I think the use of the Cyndi Lauper song in the trailer was really fucking good too. I think the trailer is great. I think this is one of the better trailers in a long time because like
agree.
it doesn't reveal a lot, but it also made me really, really, really interested. And I think the first time I really did enjoy this because I wanted to experience it, but I'm not saying it's bad, but the second time it just didn't have the punch for me. Whereas I watched Red Rocket twice, and Red Rocket the second time was maybe even better to me for some reason because I think I just saw a little bit more of like the nuances of these people. I just think Red Rocket had. And I didn't think it was like this because I was really saying with but the characters were just a little bit more interesting. Like they were just a little bit more interesting characters.
Red Rocket
is really good.
Yeah,
I think that might be his best movie.
I keep watching that movie, and it almost gets better to me every time. And I agree.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
a
his
good
best
flick.
movie, and it's like a sleeper best movie. It's like not something you
Should
would
we
think.
It's
just
so
stop this,
sleazy.
go watch Red Rocket, and then come back?
Well,
We'll do it
because
later.
this deserves to be talked. So, all right, so yeah, go ahead.
Honora
Jake,
is really good though.
Talk
still,
about it. Jake.
yeah.
Talk about
All
it.
right.
What happens?
Do we just go? We just start from the beginning.
Yeah, what happens in this movie?
You
It's
start
really
the ad if you
it's gonna
want.
take you 10 minutes to get through it, to be honest. So go ahead.
Uh,
Go
I
ahead.
don't know about all that, but it's
Go ahead.
there's there's the we start in the strip club. We kind of meet Anora. There's the first shot is basically just a dolly shot panning through like strippers giving lap dances, sets up this world that she lives in, sets up like her she has a friend, she's got an enemy like we said already in the strip club. Um, quickly she's pulled out to while she's like eating, she's like pulled over like, hey, we need this we need you to come over here. This dude wants to speak to a Russian girl or wants to talk to a girl that speaks Russian. She's not a Russian girl, but she's from there.
She's like
She's
a
like her grandma's from Russia, so
yeah,
she knew how to speak Russian from her grandma, which she explains to Ivan when she meets him because he's in the
yeah,
club. He's
yeah,
kind of a dick too. He's very like dismissive because the dude comes back. He's like, "Hey, he's your girl." He's like, "Yo, 1 minute, bro," and he's like telling a story, and he's just
yeah.
kind of going on and on, and just kind of just rambles on. He's this kid's basically fucked up the entire movie, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Remember the Russian party scenes in Triple X?
These guys attack those guys. Those guys attack these guys, and soon the whole world implode. Yeah,
That
that
movie
guy.
was
Dude, those
terrible.
movies are great.
Yeah,
So
terrible. The ice
bad.
bar.
It starts with Ramstein. It starts with a Ramstein
Yeah,
concert.
yeah. They're watching it from the ice bar.
Sick. All right.
All right,
That's
there is
kinda
no
where
ice
we're
bar.
at. Like,
Well, no, there's
that's
an ice bar in this movie. There's an ice
that's how
bar
this
later.
kid's living.
Yeah,
Yeah,
later in his
yeah.
house at the New Year's Eve, New Year's party. There's an ice bar.
There's a big titty ice bar, yeah.
Yeah. So they meet. She does the old. She's like a fucking hustler too. Like
ETND.
she's typical stripper. Like knows how to get the money out of these dudes. Knows how to charm them. Knows how to. Let's go to the ATM. Come on. Let's do a private. Let's do this. She's like just.
Yeah,
She's.
she's
It's
funny
she's
in
just
those
hustling
scenes.
the whole time when she's at the strip club.
Yeah,
And quickly with him too, like he's like, oh, we can get a bottle, and she's like, okay, we could do that, or we could also go to VIP. And he's like, oh yeah, VIP, yeah, cool, man, yeah. And obviously gets a lot of his money.
hold on before you
Obviously,
keep
money
going.
is not an issue to this kid.
No,
Before you
clearly.
keep going, what I heard some people. So what I like about this scene is that, like I said before, is it does feel very real, like you're in the club. Like it's the way he shoots is like, it's her literally walking around the club, and like I used to watch them do that, like because when I was young, when I was like 19, there was a strip club in my town, and I remember like we all would go like all the time because we were so fucking young. We thought it was awesome. There were just naked chicks walking around everywhere, and I remember
I
how like
remember.
I would watch them like navigate and like just seeing how much control like a woman has over a dude just because like he wants to touch her butt or feel her tits or look at her tits is so hilarious. It's like in that moment, like it's like, oh my god, yeah, she picked me, even though like you're paying her to do this. It seems so like oh look, she's coming to see me. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, well, you're giving her fucking money, dude. But it's so funny how it's just through this whole movie, like she's there just for the money. It's all transactional. Every time he says something, she just gives him the money sign or tells him that her rates are higher or tells him even when she says let's get married, she's like, well, you got to put a fucking carry. I mean, she's just
Four
all about
carrots.
none of this.
Four
None of this is her like
carrots.
wanting this. You know what I mean? None of this is her even going for this. It's like she's like gonna make sure that she's okay at the even. She always has like an escape plan or not escape plan, but she
You
always
don't
makes
think
sure
she
she's
ever
getting no. I think she loved
Ah,
the idea. I think she
yeah, I think
loved
she
the
got caught
idea of
up in
what
it.
her life could be, but she's no way she loved that kid. That kid was playing video games and smoking bongs and banging her too fast like a fucking idiot. Like it was
She loved
she
the
loved the
idea
idea of
of
her
him.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the idea of it all. She got caught up in the moment, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that just goes that
And they're
speaks
both
to just
young as fuck.
yeah, it speaks to the human condition. It's just like that's how
Yeah.
people are. Like people get caught up in
Yes.
shit. They
the
get
human
blinded by certain little
bitch?
things and they just, they like I think she thought she loved him, but she didn't actually love.
She
I think
loved
there
the
was
idea of the life.
a moment of time where she did clearly get caught up in it. Like once we get to the Vegas part and once there's a couple montages that I think we show that they're like they had something, but not,
Yeah, but do you really
it
think she
was fake.
loves
It was very
him?
artificial.
She doesn't love him. She loves the life that he can give her. Like
She liked him. She thought
she's
he was
23 years
fun.
old, likes to party just as much as he does, except for the fact that he can party unlimitedly, you know what I mean?
Right.
But
He
she
was
doesn't
fun.
love him as a person. She loves what he
No.
represents. She loves the freedom of flying around and partying at 23 years old. I don't know anybody would, you know what I mean? Like if this girl was 33, I think this movie wouldn't really work. You know what I mean? That's how like specific the age is. You know what I mean? These are young people. young people in life.
Well, they got married.
Yeah, go ahead. So yeah,
I think there's that scene is kind of like telling on like there's like a shift in her a little bit. But yeah, they meet, they do their strip club stuff. They party at the strip club a little bit, and he's also kind of pops the question, he's like, "Hey, do you do any outside consulting, if you know what I mean?"
great question. Always a
Wink,
solid
wink.
question.
Yep, and she do. She
That's
do.
how I met Schwartz. Schwartz,
She
you do
do.
any outside consulting?
That's how I met Anthony. He was outside consulting,
Yeah, consulting.
Giving out.
giving HJs for cash, $30 a pop.
I needed the cash.
It was a good deal
Anyway.
back then.
Keep
50
Keeper
these
back
days.
then.
I know, dude. Can't get an HJ for 50 these days.
I'll do
Anywho,
it for 45.
and then
I'll do a virtual HJ right now. Be HJ, dude.
whoa,
All right.
give a modem. Anywho, yeah. So after that night, kind of see her world outside of it. She kind of just lives in this like a shitty apartment that's like a train's right behind her window.
Classic
she's got-
train behind the window, dude.
Classic, yeah. It's just in
Shaking the
some fucking
dishes,
yeah, shitty Brooklyn neighborhood.
waking her
Uh,
up at night.
I don't know if
Probably
that's supposed to be
the
her
L
sister
train.
that she lives with, but she lives with some chick that
This bitch lives in
is-
Gotham City.
Gotham,
Sorry,
yeah.
keep going.
She basically is living in Gotham City, and so not the best life.
And Ivan
then,
is her Batman.
Ivan's her Batman, Prince Charming, if you will, or so she thinks at the beginning. And then after you see that little world, any comments on her home life? Okay, good. So she goes back to the she goes to the
long
mansion.
movie.
I think this is a great scene when she gets to the mansion because it like the way it's shot. I like how they kind of just like it's just once she walks in, it's this like wonder of her just kind of like of like the camera like spinning with her as she like sort of sees the world.
The house is
cool.
ridiculous.
pretty
It's
dope
one of the
house.
sickest houses ever.
Yeah, she's good. She the best
Billionaire status.
She's a great actor. She was very good at acting.
You got. I think both these actors were good. I mean, the kid was just
Nah,
a
hated
little
that fuck.
The
shitbag,
kid
but
hated
just
that
seemed
kid.
that like that's how he is. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's a great actor.
that's
Or-
acting. I
don't
mean,
know.
that's what
He's
makes
Russian.
so
He could be
good-
terrible, dude. We'll go
That-
to Russia. They're like, oh no, he's the worst. That's why he's
Sure.
in America.
I mean, the girl seems like that's how she would be too. Like just the way she carried herself, like she fucking.
She nailed it. But what I mean
There's-
is like she was going through and he was like, "You want some water?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'll take some water," trying to act cool. And then like even her facial expression was like, "What the fuck is going on in here? This is insane." Like it was insane. Gorgeous. There was
Yeah.
an elevator.
I mean, that house is beyond like, yo, this is a big house. Like that's like even like us, people who have been to like epic places would be like, fuck, like this is a sick house. You know what I mean? That's like a billionaire's house.
For sure.
Not a millionaire. It's like a billionaire's house.
Quite literally, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the person who owns in real life.
Maybe
probably.
Trill.
I mean, that real estate in real life, being on like the water in New York like that, overlooking the city, that's some of the most expensive real estate in the world. Like over there, like
Oh, yeah,
that's
for sure.
probably like
That's-
$10 million fucking house, like $20 million house.
Good for them. So yeah,
Anyway.
we see his house.
They
They bang.
married.
Then kind of get to know each other. We kind of learn that he's a son of a billionaire, son of like a oligarch, which is like a
Businessman.
businessman with political
Yeah.
power.
Does he
Yeah.
ever say that out?
Uh,
Like, does he ever like straight up say that?
Well, they do a thing to where she Googles his dad, and then his name is on the
that's
Google
right.
page.
She said
and,
Google, or he
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah, and you just put two and two together. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
some
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of rich
yeah,
businessman.
Yeah,
And this
that's how
is-
he's got all the money.
This is also where like you see the family dynamic that he has with his like I guess the people in America that work for his family that watched him while he's there, which I guess you can consider like his uncles and you could call them, but they're like these Armenian dudes who I guess.
But you don't see them till a little later.
Well, I'll say he invites her to his New Year's Eve party, and you see him there. That's the first
Oh,
time you
right,
see
right,
him.
yeah. That's the
And
music
they're
part.
like kind of like watching over him. You know what I mean? Like making sure no one's drinking and driving, making sure everything's kind of on the up and up, make sure
Yeah.
no one's jumping on the
Well,
couches.
that was kind of a subtle like way to introduce them because they weren't really go that much. They were just kind of like hanging out.
But you
and
sat
then
the
it was,
first
like,
time you see
It was
him.
the one dude like, get off the couch. This isn't a fucking jungle gym. Get off the
Yeah,
couch.
yeah, yeah.
And then
yeah.
like they're just kind of like off to the side, kind of just like.
But that's the great
they're
introduction.
like
Slowly
they're like
introduce him.
chaperones to a party.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
for sure. I thought that was a cool way to do it too.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that was them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're the guys who they say it. They work for the family, and like they're I guess Armenians and Russians are connected through things. I don't really know the history of that, but I'm getting that from this and in that area of the world. And I think the religion is what unites them, to be honest. And because there was times in this movie where they were speaking Armenian and there were times they were speaking Russian, but you
Well,
really
wasn't he a Catholic like bishop or priest or something?
he was
No, I
something.
think it was just his grandson was getting or grandchild was getting baptized. I think that
But he
was
was
it. I
wearing
think
that
they,
thing and he was in the
but
back
I
room.
think he was participating in the
He was in the
ceremony, but I don't
cloak,
think
dude.
that was like why he
Mm.
was. He
He was
wasn't.
in the
I
Catholic
don't think
cloak.
he was the
Either way, he's
guy.
Catholic.
But yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're from a Catholic church, definitely. That was because he had to leave the baptism when like he was like finding out about all this shit. That was kind of a pretty funny fucking scene.
Yeah, he's got.
Yeah.
And he was apologizing. I don't know, man. I think he was
Showing that the importance of taking care of this kid for these people. That's how like it's a job that he takes very, very
showing how
seriously.
powerful those people are.
Powerful the family is, exactly. Like that's one of the first times you see that. You're like, damn,
Which we don't even
this
ever see.
this
Yeah.
grown ass man is like really like caring this much. Like that's kind of wild. Like to see like why would he care that much? You know what I mean? Like to leave
Yeah.
his own
And we
child.
never know why, other than
Well, yes, you do.
you
Like
just
it's when her mom says to Anora, like if you do that, like we'll destroy your family. Like well, everything you
Yeah,
love will be
but
taken
we
away.
never
Just
see any of that happen. We just all just threats.
that's you don't need to. Like the threat of it is good enough.
Better than the movie did. The movie would have been better. If we saw like Anora get in a plane and then it crashed, that'd be sick.
Yeah, but that's not what this is, dude. This is
Life,
not.
dog.
This
That
is
don't
not.
happen.
This.
That's why this movie sucked. Like
Um,
when everything was going down when they came in and they were like kidnapping her and shit, I was like, man, I hope someone fucking dies right here or something flies out a window or something.
I don't know. That scene is the
It was
best scene
good.
in the movie.
It's
to be
fun,
honest. Like,
yeah.
and I remember the first time laughing like
He's
very,
holding
very
her.
loudly.
He's
She's
just
like, she's a
holding her.
little
He's like,
girl.
she's
What's
a
she
psycho,
gonna
dude.
do? She's a little girl. Just.
And then he unties her and she
All right,
does
we're all
something.
over
He's
the
like,
place. Focus up, guys.
Focus
There's a
up.
couple
Anyway,
good
yeah. So the
parts in
family
this
dynamic
fucking
of these people, we
2.5
wanted to talk
hour
about
movie.
that. I wanted to talk about that.
Well,
This is how like,
yeah,
these
okay,
people are there
cool.
watching.
Yeah, and we'll get more to that when we get there. Because at the New Year's party, with the New Year's party, she brings her homegirl, stripper girl, gal friend,
She was funny.
and
That chick.
yeah,
That
she's
girl
kind
was funny.
similar like intro to the house too, because like there's no now a party scene and like now we're seeing it through her eyes. She's like, oh god, look at this fucking place. This place is amazing. And they kind of this is kind of where you start possibly seeing that the whole Annie and Ivan might be a little bit more than just clientele situation because they're kind of like pretty friendly on the couch, where it's like you kind of see her getting a little bit more relaxed. I think, in my perspective, she
Sure.
wasn't like just business. Kind of turns on the business when she needs to. Because like once because she was just hanging out saying like, oh, things, this is fun, blah blah blah.
He also
and he's like,
bought her for
okay.
for 7 days, right?
Well, that was after the party.
That was after
that
this?
was like what leads to that. Because then he's
Mm.
like, can you work tonight? And she's like, well, holiday prices, dog. And then
And then he shows them banging. So he's
yeah,
just like whatever.
and it was the next day where she's like, they wake up at like 5 p.m. and she's like, I gotta go to fucking work. And he's like, whoa, wait, can you be my girlfriend for $15,000 for a week, please? Or I got offers her 10 or whatever at first, but yeah, basically it was
Yeah, that was a good scene. She goes 10. She says 10. She says 15, and then she tells him that she would have done it for less, and he says, well, he wouldn't have done it for less than 30. I was like, that was funny. That was good.
So seems straight out of Pretty Woman, actually.
Yeah.
I watched Pretty Woman yesterday just for reference sake.
Yeah, I bet you did. Bet you wore those glasses too.
I watched Pretty Woman and then like 2 of Sean Baker's like first movies. It was a fun time.
What did you learn from watching those in preparation for this?
The early Sean Baker stuff? Well,
yeah, whatever.
It's interesting because the first
gain
2 I saw, these are the first 2 I saw that weren't directly sex worker related. It was more the immigrant experience where there's the first couple. And then he got into more of the sex worker stuff in the last like 5. But that was the only difference. But it's just he's still kind of stuck with the whole just like kind of follow like a life follow, like this is just how people live, this is how they interact with people, this is their shit, and life goes on. It's just his style. It's what he does. And those movies were
I like
pretty
being
good.
thrown into these worlds that he creates that I'm not
Yeah.
expecting to get thrown into. I think that's why I really like his movies. And like I said, I'm not saying this is a bad movie at all. I'm not saying I hate it. I'm saying the
Oh,
second
it's
time
far
around I
from
didn't
a bad
enjoy it as much. It's interesting that it won the Palme d'Or. I think that's I don't know if it's that good, but I think it's a cool thing. Good for Sean Baker.
Well, it's clearly that good because it won. So
Yeah, but it really
I'd
the
like
thing
to see
about
the
the Palme d'Or
competition.
is the thing about the Palme d'Or is every year at cons there's a different like head voter, like a different person who runs it. And that year it was Greg Gerwig, and I think she
Oh,
pioneered this being the winner.
Sort of see that. I don't know
Yeah.
what you say that. I didn't know that was her. Well, either way, I know I like. I mean, the Palme d'Ors are always interesting choices too, because they're always kind of like they're always a little different and a little more like in an alternative kind of viewing way. I mean, I think one of the last more mainstream ones was probably Parasite was a big winner a few years back. But we've
Yeah.
watched some of the other ones. We watched Titan and
Titan was the winner. Yeah, you're right. I
Titan
forgot
was a
that
winner.
one.
That was I think a couple years ago.
This
and
is the first American winner since Tree of Life won in 2011.
yeah, it's pretty good. Over 13 years or something.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Anyway, I don't know.
so yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
the girl, yeah, they agree to the $15,000, and she's exclusive to him for a week. And there's like a strip. Funny when then she goes to the strip club to basically like tells like, look, I can't work. I got a thing. I need a week off. And they're like, what the fuck? And I thought it was that was a funny.
That was funny. Yeah, she's like, unless you give me 401k and health care and you start fucking paying my fucking water bill, then I'm not gonna fucking work here.
And he's like,
he
all
goes,
right.
well, none of that's gonna happen. So see you later.
That
Yeah.
was pretty funny.
This movie is what's cool about this movie is it's funny in real life ways of like that. I would
Right.
laugh at that, or I would say
laughed
that
a
and
lot
I think it's funny.
in this movie.
You know
This
what I
movie's
mean?
hilarious,
Yeah,
unexpectedly
movie's really
hilarious.
funny.
I would consider
Yeah.
this
like
a comedy.
what it is.
in a
Yeah,
lot of
100% it's a comedy.
Yeah.
All his movies are pretty much comedies. They're just dark comedies. They're all comedies.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
good at like not nailing. He's good at like not being a genre director.
Sure,
I think he's
sure.
kind of like
Sure.
he just kind of lets things be. But yeah, he's definitely leans into comedy, especially in his last couple with this and Red Rocket are both hilarious movies. And
He paints
Others
very
not.
vivid
Others
pictures,
aren't as funny.
which is great.
For
You know
sure.
what I mean? He definitely really, really takes you into worlds that you're not used to being into.
you know, it's I think the one thing that maybe even takes me away in this movie is the fact that he does show this rich side of people. Like he doesn't show rich people in any of his movies other than this. This is the
Yeah.
first time. It's kind of funny, but still a great movie. Still loved it. And now it's Vegas time. I think they go to Vegas, right? They kind of do
Las
their
Vegas?
little yeah.
Yeah, the one
Las
chick
Vegas.
who they're
The
hanging out with,
F1
the
is
one chick
racing
who they're
in
hanging
Las
out with
Vegas, yeah.
says, the one chick who hanging out was like, yeah, the best ketamine I ever had was in Vegas. And he goes, oh, yes. That's why they
Oh,
went.
that was why they did it.
He
I
goes, all
remember
right,
that
we're
quick
going to
yeah,
Vegas. And then they
Like
go to Vegas.
random quick dialogue at the party.
yeah,
I didn't really
yeah.
make that connection. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So they go
Cut.
to
They're on the
Vegas.
plane. They're on the PJ, popping bottles. It's like
That
a Jay-Z
one of their
video.
friends, which we meet in that montage of partying, works at that ice cream shop with that
The
old
candy
man.
shop.
That was
yeah,
pretty
the
funny.
old guy.
That was
Oh,
pretty
that's
funny.
hilarious.
Old guy's funny.
Ah.
I like the funny parts of this movie. It was
This
not all
movie
funny.
does. Yeah, this movie also portrays like the youth well, like in the fact, like you were saying earlier, like if you were 23, like you would be you'd be leaving
Yeah.
shit. Like if you had a fucking billionaire friend that was like just would ball out and just take you to
Yeah.
Vegas, like you'd
Hell
fucking
yeah.
Like they run into the that was like it was like a fun little like party scene when they like run in. They're like the bottles are lined up, they're running around, looking at different rooms. Look,
Sure.
I would just
Sure.
go
Pool,
eat
all sorts
ice
of
cream
shit.
out of my rich friend's freezers. That was like it was the same thing, basically. I didn't have any fucking. They were ice cream sandwiches.
Double fist and ice cream sandwiches.
Might as well have been a
Get them
billionaire. to me,
cheese,
dude.
Danny.
And they get married.
Yeah,
get
and then I
married.
think there's
That's a
that.
problem.
I think there's that scene where they kind of like get engaged is a pretty great scene because it's if you
Well,
notice it's one shot. It's just like on one side of her and they're talking. They're just
In the
kinda
bed?
They're sharing a vape pen in the bed.
Yeah.
They're kind of just getting stoned, kind of like fantasizing about like the world. I think that's when she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna miss you," and he kind of tells her he's got to go back to Russia in a week or some shit like that, and then kind of brings up like, "Well, if I marry an American, I can stay," and kind of joking around at first, and then kind of see like a little spark in her eye, and then he's like, I'm serious.
She's like, "Don't fuck with
let's do
me,
it." Yeah.
Johnny," or whatever his
Yeah.
name is.
Because he's like always a goof. So she's like, "You fucking don't goof on me." And then
Yo,
like,
she's so good, bro. Her
Yeah.
accent's amazing. She's so
and that,
funny.
yeah. And I just thought that shot kind of just rotates around them real slowly, and then it just kind of like lands on her in bed, and he even like gets out of frame to like kind of like officially be like, "Yes, I'm serious. Let's go get married."
Yeah, and she does the
Yeah.
finger thing. She's like,
Yeah.
3 carrots.
Yeah.
He's like, how about 4? Like an
How about
asshole.
5? Yeah. How about 5? That's what he always does. He's a one-upper, dude. He's big
He,
tipper.
he is a one. You know why? Because he can one up everybody.
Oh yeah, big boy.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
then it's like a cut to them fucking running to
through
the running
chapel.
to, to the chapel, whimsical, happy. This is like where I kind of on the second viewing or the third viewing, at least yesterday, with like this scene's interesting because it's supposed to be like so happy and like uplifting, but like I knew where it was gonna go, so it kind of fucking bummed me out. Because then that's when I'm realizing this girl's just like,
But is that a metaphor for marriage? Because a lot of marriages suck. You know what I mean? You're so excited for the first the first time, and then cut
maybe,
to 15 years later, you're like, oh, why did I do
maybe.
that?
Yeah, I could see that too.
Anthony, is this
I
true?
have no idea what you're talking about.
It's the best,
You've
right?
been married for a couple years, but you've been in a relationship for about 15. So how is that like a thing or what?
No, everything's great. Everything's
You love it. It's
just
great.
dandy.
You guys are over there fucking popping bottles and fucking getting
Finger
Vegas
popping
partied
each
up.
other's assholes.
All right.
Well,
Anyway, keep going.
yeah. So that all happens.
The finger popping.
Yeah, the finger popping each other's buttholes. She go, then they go
Some
back.
of the cuts to them like talking, and then all of a sudden he's behind her, just like ramming her as fast as he can, were
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah, that
Like
shit, yeah.
I laughed out loud at that a couple of times too. Like it was just so funny. I think the editing in this movie is pretty great. I'll give Sean Baker that. He edited himself, and he's pretty good at the editing. I think that might be
Yeah.
his best skill, to be honest. I think is the editing. His movies are always done pretty well that way.
I heard him say something in an interview like along the lines of like, I have to edit my own films. Like if I was hired to edit and just gave them the footage, like they would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's
Sure,
like,
and
I
I can
kind
see
of.
that.
He's like, I visually have to be. His approach to filmmaking from the interviews I've heard from him is pretty cool. I like this dude's style.
There's a lot of random.
Okay, well,
cut
expand on
scenes,
that. What do you mean? Like expand on that?
I think he knows when to use improvisation and knows when like the important scenes of like I need these things to be said, so he kind of can go back and forth. He almost kind of seems a little bit like chaotic, but I think it's
It's
like
kind
a
of like a
controlled
Family Guy
chaos.
episode.
Yeah, where because I even like his other actors were kind of joking on him, like, yeah, some days he would show up like, all right, I changed everything. Here's what we're gonna do. And then some days they're like, oh yeah, you guys, let it be, let it flow. And then other days they're like, we need to hit these lines. So it's like, I don't know, just then
What he has
visually he's cool
why I
too.
think he can do that and why he gets away with it working is because he doesn't have subplot. It's not like they have to make sure that he's people say anything to get another plot to work or for the movie to progress in other ways. What they're shooting is like in the moment stuff. So I think that works. It's like the way Terrence Malick shoots his movies. It's like he just goes out and like shoots things, but because it's not like a traditionally plotted out movie to where like they're trying to get something and then something happens and they get it in the end or don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like he can do it that.
Because
So I think that
a lot
works
of
to
these
his advantage in that
situations
way.
could have gone anywhere. He could like it. They didn't need to be in that order exactly. It just needed
Sure.
to go from point A to point B. He could have fucking just put any of like.
But I think
her go like where all the places they went. So
I
he
think
just
what
has that in the mind. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree with you, but I think what I mean to even finer point is that like in a Fincher movie, like they're trying to find a killer, or in a Nolan movie, they're trying to bend time or whatever the fuck you want to say. In this movie, it's like the things that they like the thing that they fucked with, like this part where they're running through Vegas, just running around being like, we got married. Like they could do that anyway. They didn't have to really. They could be like, all right, just run around and like talk to people, and anything that happens is going to work. You know what I mean? They don't need one thing to happen. Anything that happened that was worth happening is going to work in the edit. Like they don't need it to be this. It doesn't have to be
Right.
that. It could be anything, and we just need something to work, and that's kind of awesome. Like that he gets to do it like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's
it works
like
for him in
the
that way.
guerrilla filmmaking approach a little bit. It's
Yes,
kind of
it
like,
works
and he
really
also
well.
does a lot of his own shit. Like he'll be the operator. He doesn't he DP this, but he's DP'd a couple of his movies where he's just the
Yeah,
operator. Especially like Tangerine, we mentioned earlier, the iPhone film. He was just the DP on that himself.
yeah,
Shot it all himself, and he edits all himself. He does a lot of shit himself, and it's like him. And he has a working relationship, but his wife is the other producer.
he's his producer. Yeah,
Producer, and she does a
Yeah.
lot of other like, and if I was watching his credits yesterday, just because I had that thought leaving the theater, and it's like not a lot of people. His budgets
yeah,
are always very low. Like this was
yeah.
a $6 million movie, and it pretty impressive, I think, for 6 mil.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need a lot of people to make a great film. You know what I mean? Unless you're making like a Marvel movie where you need the people doing all these things at one time because there's so much to do. But like
Just needed a
Kubrick,
dope house for
Kubrick did
this
it that way
movie,
too,
really.
Brute. I heard Kubrick had like 10 people on set, like max, like at all times.
I like the minimalist approach. I
Yeah.
guess is like what I guess.
Yeah, no, and
I like that.
his approach works for him very fucking well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think it works for this. I think the Safdie brothers do a lot of things in that way too, with using real people who aren't necessarily actors and get the best out of them. And I think this guy does it really, really fucking well too. Like there might be two of the best that ever done it like that.
He's a very motivating director. I think.
Yeah,
if you ask
no,
me.
he's very. It's very. But like his content allows him to do that. Like if you were gonna riff on a movie with a very tight script, it wouldn't work in the edit. You'd be like, "Fuck, this movie isn't progressing. The scene's not progressing because we didn't get what we had to get. They didn't say the things they had to say." This is like they don't have to say anything specific. They just have to do it, and what comes from it is what the movie is. You know what I mean? Which is that's a very weird way of doing it because it doesn't usually work. But in his movies, it works perfectly because that's how he sets it up.
Right.
It really works.
But I guess the scene we're leading up to. I mean, all right. So she went back to the strip. She went back to the strip club. She's like, I'm out. I got married. Peace." And then we kind of, get to another montage of them like happy marriage life, kind of just, cuddling, fucking, all that sorts of cool stuff. But then we meet. I mean, we kind of subtly met the dudes that were like kind of the babysitters, but then we kind of like suddenly are with these dudes in this car. And what are those names? It's Igor and then Valchik or something. Vanich or something.
You're talking about the dudes who were supposed to watch him, right?
Yeah. So they're going to, check on him because they kind of start realizing like they're the Toros and the other guys are like
Toros
Toros
and
is
Garnick.
Yeah. So Garnick and Igor are in the car together, kind of they're talking. He's like, Garnick is telling Igor like, yeah, I guess fucking Ivan got married a stripper, and this is interesting because it kind of feel a shift in the movie a little bit here because this is the first time there's a scene without Annie, and you see this other side of things. And so that
these guys are
explaining, they're talking in Russian. He's explaining that like Ivan married a stripper and we got to fucking check on him again. And there's like kind of hinting like not he's done this specifically, but he's always doing.
He's a problem.
He's always doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
And Igor kind of laughs, and that's kind of Igor's a great quiet type character.
Igor is us in this movie. The people on the outside that look in and judge it from an outside perspective. You know, that's the thing. It's like he's the kind of guy who works for these people but does not live. He lives the Annie life working for these people, so he sees both sides of it all the time.
Yeah, dude. He's just a fucking bald dude wearing a hoodie.
Whoa. Oh shit! Look, he shaved his head.
The bald dude wearing a hoodie. He's just one of us, dude. He's just one of us.
He shaved his head.
Whoa. Whoa. That's sick.
Wow, that is good. You look good.
Dude, you got a great head.
Give him a thumbs up, Drew.
You got a great head. What's up, Drew?
You look good.
Thanks,
Drew.
guys.
Let me see your bald head, Drew.
Oh, what a dick!
Boo.
Boo. I thought we were all doing it.
Hairhead idiot.
Damn, dude. You look sick.
Yeah, it looks good, Jake. How's it feel?
It's a little cold.
Feels good though, right? When you
It's
like lay down,
right now, dude. You got to get yourself a couple
Kinda
beanies.
Yeah, I got a couple beanies. I was wearing a beanie around the house
He
yesterday.
says you look like Scott Van Pelt.
I don't know who that is.
He's a Sports Center anchor.
Cool.
Scott Van Pelt.
You kind of do
That's
actually.
the guy that was
kinda...
Robin Williams in Jumanji.
Scott Van Pelt.
Scott Van Pelt, dude.
Oh man, remember the movie The Pest? You ever see that with John Leguizamo? What? We got to do that.
Heard of it?
Podcast.
All right. So they get basically at this point, Annie and Ivan are married, and the dudes are coming to the house check on Ivan.
They're coming to fuck shit up.
This is the part we were talking about earlier, where he's at the church and he gets the call and he's got to leave the middle of the baptism.
It's cut back and forth with Toros at the church getting his kids grandkids getting baptized, and then it's them at the going up to the house because Toros isn't available to check on Ivan right now because of his family situation.
So he sends Garnick and Igor as goons.
Yeah. And this scene is great because this is like the middle
best scene in the movie
of the movie because it's a 28-minute real time sequence. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I discovered that. Yeah, it's the whole thing plays out in real time,
like single shot or
just, not a single just in the time. There's not like
28 minutes.
We just watched the scene for 28 minutes. There's no like jumps in time. It just plays out how it plays out. And it's them. First, Ivan answers the door. He, tells the guys to fuck off. They, kind of force their way in.
And this is where Annie too is like, "Yo, get the fuck out of here!"
Yeah,
which I love.
Because she's like,
she's talking
this
shit.
is our.
She still thinks it's her house. Yeah, she's it's that's her improv. She thinks this is her house. She's married to this guy. She lives here now.
They're just like,
why are these fucking guys invading?
we have the keys to the house. This is it. We
yeah.
nobody here owns this house.
Yeah, yeah.
I do love how they all had a key to go in.
Yeah.
And
Oh, man.
the guy, the front gate guy, was pretty funny too. I don't. Do
Yeah,
we ever
he's just like,
even see
he's
that
at it
guy?
again?
He's just like, yeah, go ahead. I haven't seen him in a
Like,
while.
I don't know. I just started my shift. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like
that's right,
it
that's right,
starts
that
with is
conversation.
Ivan here? I don't know. I just started my shift. He's like, did he get married? I don't know, man. I just got here.
Yeah.
That was it's a good response. Yeah.
He's like, I see you for 2 weeks and you're fucking married. So anyway, so this Toros and these
scene, yeah.
guys,
This whole
they're
scene
hilarious.
They
Yeah.
haven't.
Because it's like-
they also they haven't done their job.
Yeah, because the way it progresses is like it ramps up kind of the whole time because it's simple as them like, all right, I need to see the marriage paper. We need to send it to Toros. But he's just trying to rush him out of the house the whole time. He gets the papers. Then Annie
Just
and
trying to rush
Igor
him
are just
out of
kind
the
of
house.
awkwardly sitting in the other room, like quietly looking at each other. And like Igor's kind of trying to be like friendly, but he also
He goes,
doesn't speak.
everything will be okay.
He
That's what
barely
says
speaks
the first
any
instance.
English, so like it's hard. Like the communication's pretty difficult for him. and-
Also,
Yeah,
at
everything
this
would be
point,
okay.
at this point, we don't know that he could be a fucking psychopath. He does
Right,
kinda
yeah, we
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
He does seem like just a weird dude. He kind of could meet him with like his hood up and shit. Just kind
Well,
of
from deduction of movies in the past that we've
Yeah.
seen of
These
the
are the goons.
hierarchy of this, you know, he's the muscle. Like he's the
You
guy
do-
who's gonna
You
take
do
care
quickly realize that they're not out of their element, but maybe they're not as practiced as goons as we come to see.
Well, they're
Like,
not
just like-
gangsters.
they're
No,
goofs.
no,
They're not
Yeah,
really.
they're not
They're
gangsters. They
just
work
like,
for a
they have
rich
day
guy.
jobs. They're not
Yeah,
like
they work for a
full-time
rich guy.
goons.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well,
that,
whereas Igor is a full-time goon. Igor is a full-time goon. He's just that's the job he's hired for today. You know what I mean? They hire.
I don't
you
even think
hire
he's
people like Igor to take
he's
care
not
of
a
the job.
pro goon though.
I think he is. I think the scene with the bat proves that. I think the bat scene is like this.
I think
guy's a pro goon.
he's got to do what he's got to do kind of guy.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but
he
neither
does his
Toros
job,
and
but-
Garnick. Toros and Garnick ain't doing that though. Igor is. He's a full-time goon. Those guys. aren't.
Igor, yeah, but I wouldn't say he's like a bad dude and like he's not like menacing.
he's a
to
great
people.
guy.
He's just like he's there to work. And
That's
it's
what I
kind
mean.
of funny.
He's the
like,
first
he's-
one that's gonna get his
Yeah.
hands dirty if necessary.
Yeah,
for sure.
he's gonna kill you and then wash his hands and go home and eat with his grandma and be like, "I was a day job." You know what
But
I
he
mean?
doesn't want to kill
Whereas
you.
Garnick and Toros ain't gonna do that.
And he's
They're gonna
probably
hire
super
Ivan.
sweet to his grandma. Like
I think
Yeah,
Garnet
lucky
could
to have
kill
him.
if he needed to.
Yeah, I don't think he would. I think
is
he would call. I think he would call
hilarious.
Igor.
I mean, I think
Garnick-
that's why Igor's there. But they're like, "Yo, Garnick, yo, we need to fucking get some guys killed. Can you help me out with that?" And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." They're like, "Yeah, Garnick's the badass." And where's Garnick's like, "Yo, fucking Igor, you gotta
Sure.
get your hands dirty."
Yeah. Garnick ain't getting his hands dirty.
I mean, parents call Toros, call Garnick, call Igor.
Yeah. Which is another interesting thing that he shows. It's kind of interesting of how like the lowest guy on the totem pole is the guy who's the nicest guy. You know what I mean?
right. That's
Yeah.
that's an interesting observation.
Nice guy.
Yeah. Anyway,
Nice
keep
guy.
going.
We don't know this yet because he's just kind
Yes.
of like this
Yeah.
quiet goon, and they get their marriage papers, and then he sees them, then tries to get rushed out of the house, but that was basically their confirmation they wanted to get. It was the fact that yes, he is married.
Yeah.
So they
you
get
want
back
the
to
paper.
Toros, and then he's like, "Fuck," and he's like literally in the middle of a baptism. It's kind of hilarious. He's like pulling his phone out from under his robe, like holding a baby while he's doing this, and he's just like, "Fuck, shit," and hands off the baby. He's like,
Have you guys
I'll
seen
be right-
that?
I'll be right back."
Have you guys seen that where the priest is baptizing the baby and he just fully drops him like fucking
Oh, that
face
sounds
first into the
hilarious.
water?
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm wearing Jake.
What? Yeah, dog. Big cat.
Fits now, dude. I lost like 20 pounds out there.
Dude,
Nice.
you look skinnier.
I mean, it's still a little snuggy.
He looks
Alright.
skinnier, dude.
Big cat.
Yeah. Nice, dude. All right, let's edit that out. Fucking
Continue.
Get this goof
He
bag.
drops the baby.
Drops the baby.
Oh, I feel like they're in the middle of a podcast. You're gonna love it.
Can you keep the audio
What
the shenanigans down at your
Oh,
apartment?
give me one.
Oh my god, this
me
is
one.
going off the rails.
All right.
Mark the time. Wait, Anthony's gone. What's going on?
It's 9:55 in the a.m.
Perfect.
Stop screaming! I'm podcasting. Stop screaming! I'm doing a podcast. Joel just makes any situation worse by yelling.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is just a fun scene. This is It's just, this is kind of like the shift in the movie too, because this is the whole first part was just their courtship and their marriage, and like it was almost like this fantasy fairy tale love story in the very beginning, and now this is very much the shift to like the comedy of errors for this next like hour, which is pretty fun.
Well, this scene, she breaks a dude's nose. She bites Igor on the fucking uh neck. They tie her up. They have to restrain her. Like that's fucking hilarious. She just won't
Yeah.
stop. Like it's so funny. It's
Well,
really,
it's
really
all
funny.
Igor's like fucking with him, and then that guy comes in. He's like, What are you doing?" He's like, "I had to tie her up." It's like, why? She's a little girl. You can't. Well,
He's crazy. She's crazy, bro.
as soon as Garnick walks in, he's like, "Yo, get that shit and tie her legs up." He's like, "Well, why?" And then he starts untying her, and that's when she goes nuts on him again. And he's like, "I fucking."
And then kicks her in the face, and then it's funny because from here on he's clearly concussed.
These guys are hilarious.
Yeah.
He's
He
clearly
throws
just
up
he
later.
clearly has a concussion. He's like out of it the entire fucking time. This guy was great because he's actually a comedian, I guess, in Armenia. He's like
He's funny.
these
He's
two
an
guys,
Armenian
Igor and
comedian?
Valchik. That guy's an Armenian like celebrity comedian, and Igor is like a fucking Russian movie star.
Okay.
That's
So these
awesome.
guys are actually big, and that's something to note about the Sean Baker. It's a little different in Switch. Sean Baker's kind of famous for using like first time actors, and I think this is an interesting choice. If he's like he's using people that we still aren't familiar with, but are of great talent and merit where they come from. So it's interesting.
That's great.
Yeah.
I dig it.
He was
yeah,
hilarious. When
and
he pukes, I laugh so hard.
Oh,
I laughed
yeah,
at
it was funny.
everything they did.
Yeah.
yeah, these guys are Valnik's timing. His comedic timing is so good, especially once Toro shows up, because he's kind of like, "What the fuck happened? Like, why is she tied up?" And he's like, "She's crazy, bro." And he's got like whatever the pasta, I think,
Yeah, it
whatever
is.
that
I
was.
like
I don't know.
I like when he goes untie her legs. He goes, "No, bro, don't do it. She's crazy."
So it's like, because for a while it's just like Torres is on the phone just hearing this shit. He's like, "What's going on? What do we do?" And then he finally
Yeah.
gets there and he's like, "Why the fuck is she tied up?" And
Yeah.
then kind of cuts the deal, tries to
They're-
cut a deal with her of like, "We're gonna give you $10,000 to get the annulment, blah blah blah," and then takes her ring back, which was kind of like the dick move for sure. But he's like, "You don't
Well, they
own
got to
this."
take the ring. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
that's a lot of money. They know how
Lot
much
of
money
money.
it is. Like that's big time money. I thought it was way less than they said it was.
Yeah.
But Anthony said it was. So if it's what he said it was, then they got to take that fucking ring. Yeah, great scene, funny ass scene, and I like how like she's so against it, but then she realizes that she's got no other choice. I think that's the thing about from here on out that was
Also,
my
this-
problem with.
He bounces.
Good.
You gotta mention that.
Yeah,
Right,
homeboy
yeah.
leaves. Homeboy runs away, and that's when that's your first taste of where she's first like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, and then you're just like, yeah, he's a scumbag, and she's realizing it. This is the part though after this where I just got a little bored with the movie the second time around because I knew what to expect, and from here on out, it's literally just them looking for him,
Yeah,
and it's kind of
kinda
just
like a
took me out
little-
of it a little bit.
Kind of like a
Took me out a
boring
little
road
bit.
movie.
Yeah,
It
and
kind
it's
of
very
was a
long.
funny-
There's like
funny
45
road.
minutes left.
Yeah, there's a lot here still. It's
Yeah.
it's just this extra chunk of them, but it's I don't know. I think this
Could have
is
been a
a funny
montage.
arc. It could have been quicker. You're right, but I still enjoyed it throughout because they're they're moving around the city. They're
You enjoyed it so much
Going,
you went all
'cause-
Britney Spears, shaved your head.
I guess I guess like it does kind of set up
Oh,
Igor
trigger.
and her's relationship too.
Yeah,
like
there's
how
that.
he
very
slowly is
much so.
caring for her, and she treats him like he's a dirt mat. Like she's wiping her feet with him, and he loves
Well-
it. Like he just takes it. It's pretty amazing. And then
very-
when she says like he
he's
would
very
rape her,
patient.
that was the craziest scene ever too.
Oh yeah, I
And
mean
she
that's way
calls him
later.
a
but
pussy
yeah.
ass F word. Like that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a funny scene.
And also, what I liked about that whole could have been a montage was how it started with her like freaking out, and like you said, she kind of accepted it. Then
Yeah.
it ended with her leading the charge. Like she
Yeah.
was in front, like everyone was following her at the end when she
Yeah.
when they were at what was the nightclub called?
There was that the ice cream shop too was
OGs
one
or
of the
whatever.
scenes, and that too. Yeah, HQ.
HQ.
The Red
Oh, yeah,
HQ.
definitely. Yeah, she had like
Red
everyone
HQ.
like basically like flanking her at that point. That
Excuse.
was pretty funny. Like
Yeah.
she did very quickly because I think that was a cool thing with that. Anora, the character Annie, was like she was always very much in control of the situation. It seemed like the whole first part, and then this kind of threw her off the rails because suddenly she's like thrown in the situation, Like,
Yeah.
with like, and she doesn't know how it's gonna go.
She
And
tries hard though to
especially
get
the
out of
first
it.
time through, we don't know
Yeah,
how it's gonna
she
go, so
tries
it's
to get
kind of
out.
interesting.
She's in the back seat. She's in the front seat. Then she's driving the car, dude.
Because even like this, the whole sequence in the house is like it could go any direction. You know, it could be, a kidnapping, could be, fucking killer, could be fucking raper, could go any direction. We don't know that as the audience yet, so it's
At
kind of
this
like
point,
this
I looked at
suspenseful
Jillian and
but
she was
hilarious
like,
moment.
I think something's about to happen. I was like, I hope something's about to happen because nothing has happened so far.
Wait, which point is this?
I think like the whole I think that we were thinking during the whole like love montage, because like when they get married, there was like a cut scene where I was just like, I mean, are they just gonna roll credits right here? I think it's like, and then they
could
fell
have.
in love
They
and
could
got
have.
married.
Yeah.
It's like,
They,
all right.
they almost could have at that point, because it felt, like I was saying, like I feel like there was like a cold like shift once like those other characters were introduced. It just seemed
Once
to change.
he had
Even
to leave the baptism, that was like the shift for me anyway.
and I even feel like there was like a tone, like it felt different. Even I think there was like less music. It was like quieter. It was more, I don't know, like colder would maybe be a word to describe it. I don't know. Just there was
very
clearly
cold
that,
in this movie. Everybody
very,
very
very
possibly
cold.
leading
Very
up
so.
to something, but it didn't really.
Yeah, and it kind of kept that for. But it was like
Nothing.
I think what held this section of the film was the humor, and
Yeah.
I think the relationship, the slow, subtle build of the Anora and Igor relationship.
Well, when the parents get there, it's pretty good because I really liked the parents' dynamic. Like I thought
Right.
that was fun seeing like the dad and like just being so carefree, and you realizing that the mom is the one who's running the show, and she's like just like really really terrible.
Yeah,
Like I like that was fun.
that's after they
That was
find
fun.
Igor at the
Yeah.
strip club, because they look all around the city, and then
Yeah.
finally at the place, the way they find out is that Annie's friend texts her that like, yo,
Daisy's giving him a fucking
Vanya's here.
private.
Yeah, Daisy's giving him the private.
Yeah.
Her arch rival stripper.
Yeah.
And even at that scene when they like find him, she's like, I need to talk to my husband, and he's just fucked up. Like she's like, why don't you answer? Like she's still playing like the damsel in distress, still like treating him like he's Prince Charming. This is my husband, but like he's just fucked. He can't even talk to her. And they go to the court. The court scene was pretty fucking funny too,
The court scene was pretty funny. Yeah.
because they're all he's
I don't
all
know why
fucked
she's
up,
even
climbing up
talking.
him. Yeah, and he's like just
Why is
sitting-
she talking?
He keeps interrupting, like has nothing to say, and then like then they find out like, oh, you guys got married in Vegas, and then their lawyer's like, what the fuck, dude? The whole thing is pretty damn funny. So then they have to go to Vegas, because at this point, right after that, that's when the parents show up, because they think the parents are just going to show up, take them back to Russia, get annulled, whatever, done. Nope, they got to go to Vegas now. So they make Annie fly to Vegas. They make everyone get in, get back in the fucking private jet, go to Vegas.
And this is where you really see how like they look down on everybody. Like you really pushes it like in how these rich people are treating like these people just like pawns in their little game. They don't care about anything. Like it just shows how what's
this bitch. Like I would have felt the same way if I was a dad of that.
I'm not even talking about just her. I'm talking about Igor and Toros and Homeboy too, because like they kind of
very
just
dismissive of everybody.
They're very dismissive of everybody. They don't even like face them when they're in the plane. They're facing the other way. They tell them to shut up and butt out of the business. Like you know,
all
what I mean,
they
it's
have
just
to say to them is, "I just want to take this time to say thank you very much for for helping us out."
It's a very weird dynamic, and you also see like the dynamic of him with his parents too. Is like you realize that he's literally just a fucking kid.
He's a child.
He's just a little child who's.
Like, I kept
gotta
expecting
grow
them
up,
to be like, he's actually 17, you fucking bitch.
He looked 17.
That would be funny if that was the reveal of like, when, especially in that scene where Toros is like, I'm going to have you arrested, kind of like just trying to think of shit to say. And he's like, kidnapping,
he's just a kid.
Theft. That would have been funny if he's like, statutory rape. He's 15 years old. No, like, but that whole part.
15? My God.
Yeah.
We saw this kid. Fuck.
But yeah, the whole plane scene's also very telling, and the whole meeting the parents.
Weirdo.
This is like truly when Annie, I think she sees glimpses of it when she like finds him at the strip club, but this is when it clicks, like this guy fucking sucks.
This guy sucks.
And it's unfortunate.
Well, he calls her stupid too.
Right, and you are rooting for Annie this whole time, but I don't know. Then I had the thought too, watching history, of like, she's pretty fucking dumb. She's pretty fucking dumb this whole time. Like she's good at being manipulative, but she's kind of dumb that she like fell for this. I know she got caught up in it, but like it took her this long to realize like she should have known when he fucking ran out of the house without her. That's when
She's 23 years old.
Right, but
when you're 23 years old, you do not saying that she shouldn't have realized he's an asshole for running away, but she's a person who thrives on material things. She's got everything she ever wanted, so she wants to fight for it as long as she can. Like, I don't think she was dumb enough to think that it was going to be perfect forever, maybe, but she wants it so bad that she's willing to fight for it until it's completely gone, which is what happens.
Blinded by the light, dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there was even that the dialogue of like when Igor was holding her on the couch, she's like, he's running to go get help, and he's like, no, I don't think he is.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, the best scene after, like, all right, so the parents come, they get it annulled. There's a scene where basically the mom tells Annie that if she doesn't do it, she's going to destroy her life.
The plane, that was like when they're getting on the plane and she's saying that. Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
and then they get to Vegas, they get it annulled.
Well, on the plane too, like she overhears Vanya saying like, "Why is it a big deal? All I did was like hang out with the prostitute for a week or hang out with an escort for a week," and that was when it really Annie that was what set her off because
she calls him a pussy.
She's kind of in denial the whole time about being a prostitute. Let's be honest about that.
She's she does say it 18 times.
Like them like calling her a whore, saying a prostitute, but she is. She very much is.
Yeah, she definitely is.
So her hearing him call her that is really what set her off, and then called him, I don't know, called him a pussy, called him pathetic,
pussy ass bitch,
and that was like kind of pretty funny, like her going on that rant on the plane, and then.
And I love how the dad laughs at all that shit. The dad just
that was in the office. Yeah, it was both. You get that in the office and in the plane.
End of the plane, yeah.
And then I like when Igor gives her the drink. That was like another little like Igor gesture. Like, here's a drink.
But still, she still is really mean to Igor for a while after that.
Yeah, Igor kidnapped her.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
I like their conversation. Their conversation at the end is pretty funny about that whole thing.
Yeah. That's the second best scene in the movie. Is that scene, in my opinion? Her and Igor.
Yeah,
that's the second best scene in the whole movie.
Talk about the whole movie.
The annulment happens. Even at the end, like after the annulment, they finally sign the papers. Igor's like, I think you owe her an apology, and they're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
like, what are you talking about?
My son will never apologize.
Yeah, and it's like, of course you don't, because he's a fucking pussy. And then dad's cracking up. That was pretty.
Yeah, the dad's laughing. No, like, what she says to her is he will never apologize to you because you're a whore, and she's like, well. Your son married a whore so that he can get away from you because he hates you so much. And then the dad starts dying laughing.
He's just
why did he laugh?
He laughs because it's the truth. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like no one will stand up to her and say that, and that's why he thinks it's great.
Yeah, it was great.
It's good. It's good. Hold on a second. I gotta go off for a second.
And then what? Then they pretty much leave. They send them to the airport. And they hop on the plane. There's another little nice little Igor gesture. He does a little tuck in with the old blanket on the old airplane kind of situation. And then it's them back at the house.
Also,
just kind of like bullshitting.
Did you mention that they offered her the walk away fee, which was another $10,000?
Yeah, I think. Did we say that at some point? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I went pee for a second, so you might.
That's true. I don't know if I mentioned that $10,000, but that was I mentioned.
No, we didn't mention that actually.
That was part of the deal of like she's gonna get paid $10,000 to get the annulment.
After the parents made her leave, and then Toros was like, "All right, you could leave. You could stay one more night at the house, and then
get your shit."
Igor,
she moved in the house.
Yeah, Igor. It was her house. Igor is going to take you to the bank in the morning and get you your money. So she's going to get her 10 G's. So her and Igor are just staying the night at the house.
Smoking weed, watching TV.
Smoking weed, watching the news.
And they have a conversation. This is the best conversation. It's about everything. It's about her attitude towards what happened. It's about her attitude towards him. It's about like the fact that he had to do what he had to do, but like she was never in danger. And she's all like, "No, you're a fucking." She calls him a rapist. She's like, "If what's his name wasn't that, you would have raped me." And she's like, "I'm not a fucking raper. What are you talking?" Yeah, which is interesting because it's like
I have rape eyes.
Yeah, which is interesting because like
Igor's a dumbass name, and he goes, "No, Igor's a good name."
Yeah, it means powerful, and she's warrior, like, it means like Hunchback of Notre Dame, you fucking asshole.
Touche.
Says to him.
Yeah. The touche exchange is pretty funny. Like, this whole scene is really good.
It's
very
just
She
fair.
knows.
bridging the
She
gap.
knows he's not
Yeah.
a bad guy by this point, but she's still.
I think
keeping
so,
that
but
shit.
she's still like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah.
And then
She
I think
can't let her
that's
guard down, dude. She's too
Yeah.
fragile.
and I think that's kind of like I think in when
physically and mentally.
within that exchange, and he even does that. He does the even little gentlemanly things like lights 2 cigarettes, gives her one, like little things like that. I think she's starting to notice.
When she gives him the blanket, you realize that she cares. She cares.
Well, I think it's almost when she brought up the rape thing, honestly, in a weird way to make it sexual, like a bring
Yeah,
up
maybe.
the idea of sex with them,
You
and he's just
would've
like, "Oh, what?
raped me."
I'm not a rapist." Like,
Yeah,
and you know why you're not a rapist?
Why?
Because he's a faggot ass bitch.
that's what she
Damn.
says.
That's what
laughed
it was.
She calls him
Funny.
an F-word ass
That was
bitch.
the line.
That
That
made me
was
laugh hard.
I laughed pretty hard.
that was because that got brought up earlier in the diner. She calls him that, and then
Yeah.
like that was like a good throwback, good callback
Yeah.
to that conversation, which
Yeah.
is a
She
funny
calls
moment.
him that in the diner because he won't give her a pill. He won't give her like a painkiller. He's like, I'm not a
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
drug dealer. She's like, yeah, well, you live this place and you're not a fucking drug dealer. She's like, I live with my fucking grandma, and she's like, yeah, of course you do. You fucking
Gold
F word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That
hilarious.
was
It
also
a
another
hilarious
reason why
movie.
that dude was all fucked up because he took a pill from him from
Yeah.
Igor.
Yeah, yeah. One
I
of
don't know
his
if that's
grandma's
before or
pain
after
meds.
he pukes.
Oh,
He said, "I
man.
don't feel very good."
Yeah, that was funny. That whole thing was pretty funny. All right, so get to the good part and let's do it.
I think that's it.
No, there's
Yeah.
one more key scene.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
bang in the
it's
car.
just they go. He gets the money, drops
Gets
her
the
off.
cash,
He
gives her
keeps
the
being a
ring.
gentleman.
Gives her
That's right.
explains
gives
to her
her
he's
the-
got the ring,
that's right. Yeah, pulls out the ring, just holds it, and it's
which
like,
according to Anthony is another 150K in her pocket.
don't tell
Middle
Toros.
East.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I was waiting for that ring to come back. I don't know why she didn't ask for it when she was being let loose. That
I
was
mean,
when
because she didn't think they would give it to her. Like,
Why?
why would they? Toros wasn't going to give it to her.
don't.
So yeah, so they in the car, and all right. So this is the thing. He drives her home, drops her off, and as he gets back in the car, she bangs him. And what's the why? Why did she do this? What was that about? What is that about? Okay, that's her way of like.
I think this
reacting.
is interesting because I think this is exactly what Sean Baker's going for. He wants people to have these conversations. He wants people to have these thoughts of like, because
Sure.
he leaves a lot of his movies are like this with like a kind of a moment and it just kind of ends.
Thanks.
Okay,
then
so
it
what
ends just
would
on the
the
shot
reason be?
of her of why she did what she did or why.
Yeah, why
So
did she bang
goes
him? you
over
think?
there? She bangs him, and then she starts crying, and then the credits roll.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think kind of in my opinion would maybe be to kind of reclaim her control over a situation a little bit. I think she's like those two days were such a turmoil of like out of control. I think finally she realizes like, okay, I'm free. I can do what I want now. And I think partly you're right though. Like she does use sex to kind of control things, and I think that was her way of taking back her control in a way.
Okay.
And but I'm curious to what happens after, of course, too, because we never see that. Like, is that a continued relationship? Is she just fucking
Nah,
fucks
dude.
him
I think
bounces? I don't know.
she pulls out his soft little pee-pee, gets out of the car, goes up to her apartment, and they never see each other again. That's what I think.
I kind of feel that is more true, but
I think
I
she
don't
gets
know.
robbed of her money, and she goes
Yeah.
right back to the strip club.
Because he was the real Prince Charming of the movie. So it's almost like you wanted that. Like he was kind of the one who saved her at the end. He's the what Prince Charming is, in a way. So like I don't know. You almost want him to be. You almost want him to stick around. But I like that. We don't know. We don't know what happened.
It really
you
doesn't
think
matter.
It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't matter. Life goes on.
Maintained a relationship after that?
I don't know. We don't know. I mean, it could go either way.
It doesn't
easily
matter.
Go either way. It doesn't matter. I mean,
It
the
doesn't
movie's
matter.
over. But
Yeah.
That doesn't.
I like the way. I like that we don't know in a way.
Yeah, it's fun.
I think the question is, why did she fuck him?
That's the question.
Okay. What's your take? That was my take.
I think your take is good. I think it's smart. It's like that is how she keeps like that's what she does in her life, I guess, to reciprocate kindness to people too. I think it's like Anthony said and what you said. I think it's what she knows. It's how she knows something that she's enjoy and he's gonna enjoy. And it makes people closer together, at least for that moment, like physically, obviously, and emotionally in that moment. And maybe it was a comfort thing. Maybe she needs that to feel comforted. Maybe that was like what she thought he wanted. Like I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both of those things. I think it was comfortability is the main factor, whether in whatever way it is. Like it's something that comforted her, and that's why she did it.
Okay.
She definitely didn't use a
that.
condom, so
No.
maybe they have babies.
Maybe.
Damn,
But it was like an
Igor
interesting
babies.
exchange because like there wasn't.
Honestly, if
it
they
was
made a
like,
sequel to that movie
uh,
about her and Igor raising a baby, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, that'd be a pretty great movie. Anora and Igor, just like her calling him all these names and treating him like shit, and them like realizing that they're raising a baby together, and she's like, "Oh my god, the baby's diapers." I don't know, it'd be good. I'd watch it.
If Sean Baker
Unnecessary.
makes another movie, I'm gonna watch.
Unnecessary.
I'm gonna watch whatever he makes.
Yeah,
He's one of my new favorite filmmakers.
he's
Getting
good.
Shyamalan, dude.
Shyamalan, dude. Shyamalan. Ding
Anthony
dong.
just
Yeah,
hated
okay.
this movie. All right, let's quickly rate it. Go ahead. Not what's your overall? I did my overall.
I gotta go through the motions, or should we just do the? Do you want to do the overall? How do you want to do it?
Go ahead. Do the things. We'll all
Do
do
the
it real quick.
things.
Acting.
Who's writing these down?
I got him right here.
Okay,
Acting.
7.
10,
Wow. I gave it an 8. Plot
Okay.
development.
I'm gonna go 6.
9,
I gave it a 4. Cinematography.
I'm gonna go 8.
8.
I gave it a
No, 8.5.
I gave it a 5. 8.5.
8.5.
Soundtrack.
You gave the cinematography a 5 or 8.5?
You gave it an 8.5.
Yeah, what'd you give
Soundtrack
it?
and musical score.
7.
7.5.
I gave it a 3. I don't even remember anything remarkable about it at all. So
Damn, you're giving
Direct-
the low numbers, dog.
yeah, I didn't really like this movie. Directing, editing, which he did both.
I'll go 8.
9.
I gave it a 6. Production design.
I'll go 6.
Give it like
Visual
7,
effects.
7.5, 7.5.
7? I mean, they just shot it guerrilla style in New York.
Yeah, I think what they had was cool, so I give it a middle high grade.
I give it a 3. Originality, creativity.
I'll go 7.
8.
I give it a 5. Pacing, overall flow.
I'll give it a 5. No, actually, I'll give it a 6. I think the movie was definitely about 15, 20 minutes too long.
I could feel some length there. I'll give 7.5.
Yeah, I gave it a 6 too. I rarely was bored.
Really?
I wasn't the first time. I was the second time.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it again.
I was not bored.
Emotional impact.
I'll give it a 7.
7. Oh my.
I'll go 9.
Really affected you.
I think it got me, dude. Hit me in different ways at different times. A little,
I respect the idea of what it is, and I think Mickey Madison killed it. I think she really went through the emotional impact of everything, and I think she was good at it. I think it was good for that way.
But I mean, how did it make you feel? Did you really?
That's my opinion on that.
Gets you feeling?
Watching her do that made me give it a 7. I think it's 7 out of 10.
Cultural or societal relevance.
It's very one-sided to society. You know, these kids are 1%er. Not everybody gets to live this life. Only a very small amount. But I think
you also see
to
her
people
point of view.
exactly, and I think the people who don't get to see that, it's very exciting. So a little bit of that is why I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I think the portrayal of those societal things were really well done. So I'll give it
Yeah.
a 8.5.
Nice. I'll give it a 5. Total
Hater scores,
scores.
dude. Hater
Schwartz gives Anora 6.9.
Okay.
Jake gives it an 8.3, and Islami gives it a 4.6.
Yeah, it's a low for Islami.
Boo! This movie.
I feel like if I gave it an overall, it'll be higher. I feel like it'd be more of like.
I was gonna say 7 out of 10, so mine's pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, 6.9. Pretty close.
Alright.
What would you would have given it more than an 8.3, Jake?
Probably on my IMDb rates, it's only just 1 star, so it's like 9. I have it a 9 on my IMDb deal. That's how I rate movies. It's a 9-star.
Well,
I
you
got it.
also rate movies the way we just rated them, and it's an 8.
So
Rounded
fuck.
down to a 6.
I guess that's more telling.
All right,
Well, there we go. There we have it.
check it out. Right on.
Anora. It's Annie.
More like a Bora.